Om Ganganapataye Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Namaste Astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trimbakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagni Kalaya Kalagni Rudraya Nilakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sarashivaya Sriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityurmukshi Amamritat. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you. Thank you, Evji. It's been a very, very long time since we all gotten together to record for a Nakshatra video. Although we have been getting together and having a lot of discussions, but we never gotten to do the recording. And I think it should be over 2 years now since we did the last recording, which was the Dhanishta Nakshatra. And we said, let's continue with our series of nakshatras. So let me start a prayer to Lord Varuna, because we are going to do Satabhiasha Nakshatra today. So I'll start with the prayer to Lord Varuna, and this is Varuna Gayatri Mantra. Om Jalabimbaya Vidmahe Neelapurushaya Dhimahi Tanno Varuna Prachodayat. Okay, so I will just be giving a couple of pointers related to Satabhiasha Nakshatra. And Aditya, Eve, and Santip, they have something more elaborate they will be sharing with you. And in between, I can probably add, many more pointers. So I'll start with the Satabhiasha. Now, Satabhiasha has various names that it has been referred to as. Satabhiasha is also called, this nakshatra is also called as Shata Taraka or Shata Tara, which means Shata means 100, Tara means stars. It is also called as Shata Vishaka. It is also called as Shata Bishaja or Varuna or Varunabhyam. So Niresha, Apanapati, Jalesha, Jalapati. So these are different names by which this nakshatra has been also coined. I'll talk a little bit about Varuna, and then I will talk about the symbology and the interpretations, and then Aditya can take over from there because he's got more elaborate slides. Varuna, this word Varuna means somebody who is all-encompassing, all-pervading, or all-enveloping, or covering. He's also said to be a binder. So Varuna is also said to be in charge of Ritta Sadhanam. Ritta, which means is natural, cosmic, and moral laws and codes. And it's also said Varuna is also responsible for Satyam, which means truth. So this is what has been mentioned in the Rig Veda, that he is the deity of sky and the terrestrial and the celestial oceans. Now, when you look at the Rig Veda, you can see that he's also said to be the lord of rainfall. But I believe that Indra becomes the lord of fresh waters, and Varuna takes control of all the salt water. So all the oceans, the seas, Varuna takes, but he is originally the lord of all forms of terrestrial and celestial waters. Now, this nakshatra is also said to be a Chara nakshatra, which means it's a movable nakshatra. It's ephemeral, it's movable. Secondly, it is called also a Urdhva Mukha nakshatra. It's facing upwards. The face of this nakshatra is facing upwards. So anything that has to do with aerial, and space can be also associated with this. So Satabhiasha, what I've observed is good for people who want to go into aerospace, space research, astronomy, astrologers, anything to do, because it's also in Vimshotri Dasha, it is under the association with the Rahu. This nakshatra is also called as a dharma nakshatra. It comes into the category of, in dharma, artha, kama, moksha, it falls in as a dharma. Also, the gana of this nakshatra is Rakshasa Gana. And there is a substitute deity which is associated with Satabhiasha. And this reference I found in a Tamil classic called as Kumara Swamiyan. In Kumara Swamiyan, the deity associated with Satabhiasha is called as Ayaman. Ayaman means Yama. And you can see a lot of commonalities that you see with Yama, Varuna, and Shani. Varuna also is said to be very strict with his rules, and he has no remorse in punishing those who go against the cosmic, the natural, and the celestial laws. Similarly, Shani also has a similar sort of remit that he has. He's a binder, he's a restrainer, he brings constraints. Similarly, here, Varuna also can bring you strict rules and regulations that you need to follow. And Yama, as again, we say he's also a kind of a Bharani nakshatra, is called restraint. So he's got that. So one theme that I saw with these nakshatras, which is quite astonishing, is Bharani nakshatra. From there, if you go 8 nakshatras, I said Bharani is ruled by Yama. And I said Yama is the substitute deity of not the Rig Vedic, but it's a substitute deity from the Tamil classic of Satabhiasha. So from Bharani, if you go 8 nakshatras ahead, you will come to Ashlesha nakshatra. Ashlesha is again the coiled serpents, again trying to restrict you, constrain you, to bind you, and there is a kind of a bondage with Ashlesha. From Ashlesha, if you count 8 nakshatras from Ashlesha, you come to Anuradha nakshatra. Now, Anuradha is the deity is Mitra, and we know in Rig Veda, Anuradha and Satabhiasha, which is the ruler, Varuna and Mitra are always referred together in all the verses. It's Mitra Varuna or Maitra Varuna. Now from Anuradha, if you start counting 8 nakshatras again, you will see that it is Satabhiasha nakshatra. So there is a strong connection that you see with number 8. Okay, and from Ashlesha, and these are called as Mitra. In the Navatara system, the 8th nakshatra from any nakshatra is called as a Mitra nakshatra. So they are very friendly. So Ashlesha, Anuradha, and Satabhiasha. Okay, so they kind of are forming a very strong bond. And there is another link to these three nakshatras, especially because all these three nakshatras are called as Manda Lochana. Manda Lochana means they are weak sighted. Okay, of course, there are other nakshatras also which are called as weak sighted, but I saw the common themes are Anuradha, Ashlesha, Shatabhishak are called as Manda Lochana, which means they are weak sighted. Another very important classification that you find with Satabhishak is also said to be a Panchaka nakshatra. Now, what is Panchak? Panchak is 4.5 stars are called as a Panchak, which means Dhanishta nakshatra, the last two padas, which is third pada and fourth pada of Dhanishta, which falls in Aquarius. And then Satabhishak, the full four padas of Purva Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada, and Revati. So all four full nakshatras and 1/2 nakshatras are called as Panchaka. Now, if you see the last 5 nakshatras, Dhanishta to Revati, they come under the category of Akasha Tattva, ether element. And the deity who rules over Akash Tattva is Vishnu. Okay, and that's why Panchaka nakshatras are more important when somebody passes away, when the moon is transiting there, and especially in southern part of India, there are special prayers that are done for the deceased if the moon was transiting any of these 5 nakshatras or of these 4.5 nakshatras when they pass away. That's because if you see that a soul passes away in the Pushkar and the 3 Pushkar nakshatras, Pushkar is all in Vimshotri Dasha, all the Mars associated nakshatras, which is Mrgashirsha, Chitra, and Dhanishta. They're all called as Pushkar because 2 padas will fall in one zodiac sign and 2 padas will fall in another zodiac sign. And then we have the 3 Pushkar nakshatras, which are the Sun and the Jupiter's nakshatras in Vimshotri, because 3 padas will fall into one sign and 1 pada will fall into another sign, zodiac sign. So that's why they are called as 3 Pushkar. So typically, the belief here in the southern part of India amongst the astrological community is if somebody passes in the Pushkar or 3 Pushkar, within a span of 2 years, the soul will take away, either 2 more family members or 3 more family members. If it's 3 Pushkar, to believe it will take, if it is Purva Bhadrapada, you would take 3 family members. Now, this is not to create any fear, but it is what the tradition here talks about in southern part of India. Okay. Now, other than that, I would also want to say I have a couple of more observations about Dhanishta. Sorry, I'm talking about Satabhishak. Now, Satabhishak, if you understand, we say it's 100 stars. Actually, these stars are very, very faint. But the gist that I got after studying Satabhishak for over many years, it doesn't only mean 100 healers. I believe Satabhishak also means these are multi-terrestrial or rather multi-dimensional light workers who are here on the earth plane. They come here to help us transcend and help us in our ascension journey. And they can come as spiritual guides. They can come here as philosophers. They can come here as psychics. They can come here as even scientists. Some great scientists who have come and done some path-breaking work here to ease our journey here on the earth. I think these are the people who help us cross over. So these 100 helmsmen, as they call it, who help us to cross over, or they can say these are 100 rescuers, and who help us to identify. And these are more cosmic wanderers who come here, who take incarnation. They are called as sometimes certain incarnations are called as avadutas as well. So all the avadutas would have a very strong influence of Satabhisha. And sometimes it's also said that when such great souls are born, some stars fall and we see a lot of shooting stars. So a shooting stars or a meteor shower is also associated with Satabhisha, the 100 shooting stars. Or that's why the other reference which is given as 100 flowers. So which means it's in a garden, there is one flower which blossoms like the lotus in a muddy waters. So Satabhishak is that, because Satabhishak means the 100 shoots of lotus plant also. Now I'll quickly go to explaining some of the symbologies, and then we can, I can have Aditya talk about the background of this nakshatra. So one symbology is the 100 lotus flowers. Now this is very, very important for me when I go, because it's not only about the lotus flower is not only a reference, because we say Shata means 100 and Bishaja, which means doctors. So this is a battery of doctors, or this is what we can say, this nakshatra is a delegation of doctors. Or in my view, this was more like a secret society where a lot of druids or shamans would meet together, discuss their secrets and exchange things. In olden times, there was a sect of people from the astrological communities who called themselves Brigus. And not two people would know that they are Brigus. And probably only when they meet at this common place, which is a secret place where they are ordained to meet during a specific celestial observation, they all congregate there, and that's when they know. And what I have heard is Brigus never taught on leaf or anything, that has not been recorded. I've heard that Brigus always used to take the sand from the ocean. They use the sand as the writing body, so they used to make charts on those sand, and they would explain their techniques, and then they would remove that because they didn't want anybody else to record that. So it was only between this secret society. So I believe Satabhishak would have something to do with secrecy and a secret code. And all secret societies, whether you talk about the Illuminatis or whatever, the Freemasons. So there is a theme there. So that's why I see that Satabhishak has to do also with a lot of wheeling and kind of behind the curtain. Satabhishak also, what I believe is Satabhishak is like a portal where some people who understand the dimensional worlds, the multi-dimensional worlds, can really go into various dimensions. They can be here in one moment and they can actually go into a portal and kind of time travel and go into another part of the world or go to another. So these are vortexes in the space that they can really transcend into. So that's why I feel that this connection is connected to the empty circle, or the round talisman is one of the symbols. Now, an empty circle represents boundaries within which we need to operate. And there is infinite space within this construction or this boundary. So empty circle also represents the all-enveloping night sky of Varuna. And the empty circle can also be a reference to knowing Varuna as the dark sun. Why is he called the dark sun? Because he's the lord of the west direction. He is called as a Dikpala. He's the regent of the west. Okay. And west is where the sun sets. So after the sun sets, he takes over. And the empty circle is also a reference.
I guess we lost him.
It's frozen.
Yeah, I think Dr. Pai just went empty right now.
Yeah, he's an empty circle.
I'm in hiding in darkness and he's disappeared.
Yeah, I think, Dr. Pai, we missed you briefly. I think the last thing we heard from you was empty circle, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was saying about the empty circle and the, the all-enveloping night sky of Varuna. Okay. Can you hear me all right now? Am I audible? Okay.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. And then I also said Varuna is called the ruler of the dark sun, or he's called the dark sun because he is the regent of the west direction, and that's where the sun sets. So he takes over after the sunset. So the empty circle, which is also a symbol, is also a reference to the lasso, the pasha that he carries. Varuna is functioning of the cosmos is self-containment. So he uses the lasso or the pasha to control or to take siege of. Other deity who also carries a lasso or a pasha is Yama. So that's why you see I said Yama and Varuna kind of have an influence of Satabhiasha. And one more deity who holds a pasha is Lord Ganapati. So Lord Ganapati holds an ankush, which is an elephant's goad in one hand, and most of avatars you see that he's holding a lasso. Even in this nakshatra is associated with a form of Ganapati amongst the 32 forms of Ganapati from Mudgala Purana or Ganesha Purana or Ganapati Upanishad is called as Simha Ganapati, where he is sitting on a lion. So Simha Ganapati is, you never see in him sitting on a lion. So here he shows his ferociousness by sitting on a lion, Simha Ganapati, which is associated with Satabhiasha Nakshatra. Okay, so the empty circle can also be representation of a protective amulet, just like we saw with when we did Jyeshtha Nakshatra. So it is like Indra, and Varuna has his own protective amulet because he's the bringer of justice, as I said, Satyam, which is truth, and all the cosmic and moral laws. So like Yama, I said, who is the substitute deity, Yama also has a pasha with him, and he punishes sinners who do not obey the laws. Likewise, Varuna also is said to be very strict when it comes to laws. The other symbol, which is, I talked about the number 8. 8th nakshatra would be Ashlesha. From Ashlesha, the 8th nakshatra would be Anuradha. From Anuradha, the 8th nakshatra would be Satabhiasha. So the infinity, the number 8 or Ouroboros is also a kind of a symbol associated here because infinity is associated with Varuna because of his nature that he has imbibed from his mother Aditi. Aditi means the boundless, the infinite, that cannot be measured. So he has got the same traits as his mother Aditi. So, and his father is Kashyapa. So this is like a serpent going behind its tail, which is a symbol of infinite, which is Varuna's region is infinite. Varuna is the lord of the night sky and salt waters, as I said. And what this infinity means is he shows a lot of mystical powers, healing powers, because if you look at if you look at Aquarius, which is Kumbha, the water that is flowing out is Varuna's water. It's the waters, the water is symbolic of ether that is there. The ether is the fabric of the universe, is ether, space. And that is the fabric of his mother, Aditi. So he inherited that from his. So these flowing waters also what we call as, probably it is a connection with Akash Ganga. Akash Ganga, as we said, is the Milky Way galaxy. So that is said to be his realm. And who helps him with that is Aryama, is the deity who actually goes across the Milky Way. That is his pathway, they say, the royal pathway of Aryama. Aryama means Arya. Arya means somebody who follows all the rituals, the customs, the traditions, and that's why it's called as Arya. Aryaman is the Lord who follows all the ritual skills. So the infinity is also associated with the balance of the mind and the body, purifying and cleansing. One more thing that is Varuna has a mystical animal, which we call as a makara, which is his vehicle. It's a sea monster. It is the sea monster is Capricorn. The symbol of Capricorn is makara, which is, it's an amphibious being because it is half aquatic and half, which is land-based animal, which is a deer in the front, and it has got an aquatic like a fish or a crocodile. So it's a more like an amphibious animal which goes on. So infinity is also a symbol that I represent with the this nakshatra. And there are other symbologies, which is also the 100 lotus flowers or 100 stars. Now here, this is what I feel is a connection with the 100 flowers or the 100 lotus petals are to do with the Sahasrara chakra, which is the blossomed 100 lotus. That means you are completely awakened spiritual master. That's why I was talking about a lot of spiritually awakened light workers who come here to help us with our ascension, to help us with our progress here, are connected to. So these are Kundalini awakened masters. And you can also see the same symbology is reference to when I talk about the Egyptian deities as well. Egyptian deities, all of them wear a crown with a serpent on their forehead. That is a symbol of saying they're Kundalini awakened masters. Okay, so Satabhiasha, just to kind of wrap up what I was saying, has a connection, great connection with giving you insights with Paravidya, means, and Aparavidya, and connection with the divine and the higher powers. It's with the lotus and healing. So flower remedies, I've also mentioned about use of Bach flower remedies or any kind of flowers that you can grow in your garden, which can help you heal because of this connection. And the 100 stars can also be a reference which is given to the eyes of Varuna. So the watchful eyes of Varuna, which tries to bring justice in the society, which also kinds of looks at everybody's life and to ensure that they are following all the natural and the moral code of conduct. And Varuna is supposed to be these 1,000 eyes or these hundreds of eyes or these stars can also associate with people who are into spies and espionage and things like that, because he's the dark sun. So I also believe that because Satabhiasha falls in Aquarius, and Aquarius has as a sign has two rulers, which is Saturn and Rahu. Saturn and Rahu brings the energies of Shiva. So I feel a lot of Shiva energies are encapsulated that needs to be awakened. And I feel Rudrabhishekam and certain temples where there are, in India, I have seen a temple where it is built on near an ocean, and the ocean water comes and actually does the Abhishekam naturally of these Shivlingam. So visit places can also help you in healing and giving you liberation, and it's also about moksha. And one more thing, what we have seen is salt water is the best form of water for cleansing, including when we think that we have a sore throat and we need to heal ourselves. What is the best form of, lukewarm salt water gargle is the best form for your throat. And if you see most of the mouth gargles that you get, like Listerine, they say, 99.9% germs would be. So what is 99.9%? Almost 100%. 100 is Satabhiasha, 100% cure or healing what you get. So this is what I wanted to talk very briefly about Satabhiasha. And Aditya, you can take over. If anybody has to add something to this, team, please, please feel free to add anything that you wanted to add.
It's great that you said Satabhiasha, seawater. Seawater is also salty, and salt water is used for gargling. And again, that means seawater is the best healing element. And seawater is connected with Satabhiasha. Satabhiasha is healer, as you said. So the themes of healing connected with ocean, connected with Satabhiasha, connected with the healing power of Satabhiasha matches almost exactly well. So who
Yeah,
knows?
I can add on to that actually. One thing I can definitely say is that people who have big illnesses that has not been cured and all that, if they spend like at least 3 months, 3 to 4 months at least by the ocean, they spend time in the ocean, swim in the ocean, all that, they start surfing actually. There was one guy who actually cured all his autoimmune diseases, or he was able to recover from his autoimmune diseases because he was just surfing for 100 days straight, literally in the ocean. And he literally went on and wrote a book about it. Now he's launched a successful company and all that kind of thing. So literally spending time by the ocean is extremely healing, and I can recommend that enough, especially surfing the waves. That's like Hawaiians and all that, right? California surfers and all that. They are happiest for a reason, because they're surfing all the time. Similar that, and also I can add that one thing I just want to add quickly is that definitely there are deeper healing, mysterious healing waters in the ocean. So there are certain, if I'm not mistaken, the Red Sea and all that, you can float in that ocean because of the salt content there in close to Turkey and all that. So I forget where it is, but then literally that particular place you can float there, which is extremely healing. And I have no doubt there are much more mysterious healing waters within oceans actually. Somewhere there is a pocket of ocean water, which can cure away all your illnesses. Without a doubt, I can say that also. But yeah.
Actually, it's interesting. I wanted to apologize. Anybody who's watching, I'm not in the dark on purpose. It's the only place I'm getting Wi-Fi. So just want to preface that. But Dr. Paiji, you were mentioning about brigus. This is really fascinating for anyone who wants to do more research because, naturally, in just our basic classics, Vedic Shastra, Shukra becomes the carrier of Jala Tattva, right, of water. And, of course, he's in Brigu's lineage. This is the whole thing in Bhargava.
He carries a pot of water too, correct?
And he has a pot of water.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, him and of course Brahaspati, because it's the Brahmins. But so it's also used for taking oaths. No, so the pouring of the water. Now, what's interesting is that if you do a little reading and investigating, is that Brigu actually had learned the various vidyas from a rishi called Varuni, who was said to be Varuna, or a combination of Mitra, Varuna. So there's actually a link there in the mystery schools. And some of this stuff is rather hard to uncover now, because you've got so many sources, you've got much conflicting information. So many of us come on here and share information. It gets kind of hard to catalog it all away. But if any of you are curious, I believe, even the simple, I might be mistaken about this, but even the simple wiki page on Varuna may even have some of this information. Like months back when I looked, I believe it did. So I was just scanning through some things, and so there's usually with these, the Rig Vedic Devatas, there has been a lot of their qualities integrated into other Devatas. And so this becomes a little strange, kind of like Dr. Paiji highlighted with Yama, that there's a link with Yama. And what's interesting about that, just quickly, is that Yama and Varuna definitely share this thing with law. And I was thinking as you were talking, Dr. Paiji, that when it comes to Varuna, it's and I'm going to talk more about this in my presentation, so I'll just make the comment so people can kind of be digesting it. But Varuna has a lot to do with with cosmic law and those forces that we may not understand, whereas these rituals, these man-made rules that we even relate to morals change per society. And many more, when we examine society as a whole, what's okay in one country may not be all right in the next country. A man should do this, a woman should do, all these little things that humans come up with. Nature really doesn't interfere with It's almost like we're free to make our little societal rules. But then you've got this bigger awareness of nature, rules that we don't really comprehend very well, like those of us who speak of nonviolence. If you spend a week in the jungle by yourself, you're going to start questioning wait a minute, what is the law here? Just in nature, everything eats something else to survive. Or not even to survive. It might not even be a survive. Scientists speculate that, but that's an incredibly limited view. We don't understand why everything else is something else's food. Okay. So like time is given the permission to eat us, devour us. There's statements like Mahakal is even given permission to eat the devas. I think I've mentioned it in other videos where Mahakal laughs at Brahma, like I've eaten many of you. And Indra, I have permission to eat you. So we're all slowly getting digested by time. That's the Kalagni, of course, in the prayer to Lord Shiva, Kalagni Rudraya, right? 3 Kalagni, actually, the 3 fires of time. So Varuna, I just wanted to say this so everyone, all of you can kind of just sink, especially those of you who are blessed to have grahas in this nakshatra. It's a very, very special nakshatra. But when we're looking at law, we're not necessarily looking at people who study, in law school, or we're looking at these little petty rules that men change based on the time. One day it's okay to wear not okay to wear short sleeves. You have to cover yourself, or now it's okay to uncover yourself. All of those little petty things. Most of these cosmic laws don't even interfere with us with those things. It's when we cross the boundary of nature. It's when we go into excess and cross some boundary that destroys natural law. And that natural law that we don't really understand, that I believe, and in my ignorance, I keep my head down when I say this, but this is what I believe, this is what my intelligence has perceived, that they're attempting to describe when they speak of Varuna.
Can you give an example of that, E.G.?
If you jump off of a building, you're going to die. Like a really tall building. Okay, you're not just going to grow wings. Okay, those are like laws of physics, right? We have those little natural laws. A human being, in order to stay part of this world, we have to eat something else of this world. We have to eat of this world to stay in this world, okay? These are little simple laws. Now, some yogis, and those who live off of the Akash, they call them skywalkers, actually. In yogic language, they walk in the skies, the yogic skies. Now, they may learn to eat even the pranas, the different various subtle forms of food, but they're still eating something. It's still sustained on something. In order to stay in this world, you must be somehow sustained in it. Now, ether is a food as much as it is a container. It's sound as well. When people ask me why I usually say that Brahaspati, actually Jupiter, is one of the main grahas in the charts of musicians, in a specific way. This is an obscure thing. People usually think Venus and all of this, but no, Pushya is very common. Brahaspati is the carrier of Akash and sacred speech. So you get sound, right? And so the same thing, sound, actually, you can be in some ways sustained by certain sounds, by certain ways of breathing, all of that. Now, these are more mystic, esoteric kind of things where you can adjust to other laws that may be in order for the rest of nature. Okay, you can maybe bend those laws to some degree and become more subtle. However, you're still under some kind of unspoken law, limitation. You're still within that circle. Now, there's many things that that circle represents. And when we get to my presentation, it's going to be a little on the mystic side, actually, because there's a very deep importance of that circle. But that law, Aditya Ji, that you're asking about, it's if you lived in nature, would you even be able to observe it? Another one really quickly. You know, the indigenous people of most areas, they learn how to recognize plants. Okay, they learn how to recognize certain things. So there's one indigenous elder that would speak about poisonous plants. He would say that poisonous plants never have any friends. That was how they would spot a poisonous plant. It didn't have anything around it. You know, he'd say the poisonous plants in this area has no friends. So they'd learn these little rules of nature. Okay. So there's those little ones, and then there's bigger ones, the big rules. That is really where I think Varuna becomes dangerous when Dr. Paiji speaks about this kind of, I don't like to use the word punishment because we're nearly contaminated between our politicians and our religion. We're so stripped of our original nature. And we're so torn between the concept of good and bad and this almost a fake morality. I almost don't want to feed that in people's minds because people tend to shame themselves so much already and feel like they're going to get punished for doing something silly. I mean, there's people that feel like they're going to get punished for eating red food. So I'm being very sensitive to people's limitations of their mind and what has been oppressive on them at birth. So please, guys, don't think Varuna is going to jump out of the corners and just whip you or something. You know, it's more like these big laws when we start interfering with things that we don't understand. And it even runs into the laws of karma, which we don't see. We don't know. We think we're helping someone, we're really hurting them. We think we're, you know, as Jyotishis, this even calls us forward to understanding a deeper a code of ethics, not to cross certain boundaries and to have humility. When we have humility, okay, first of all, we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to make huge mistakes. Be very afraid of those people who say they don't make mistakes, who say that they're 100% honest, that tell you that they're good and they only have good intentions towards all. Be very weary of those people who feel they need to tell you that, okay? If you're just honest with yourself and you're one with nature, you're going to know that you're a mix of qualities and you're going to have the humility to make mistakes, okay? Now, Varuna, oddly, he represents those of us in court, you could say in cosmic court, with this humility. But he's not the punisher in that way. If you notice his story, he gets, you know, Indra is the punisher, actually. Indra gets on the throne of righteousness, and he's in fear of losing his throne. So he's got to do anything he can to make sure that other people feel they can't take that throne. So he's going to say anything, do anything. He's more of that kind of human law even, okay? Jyeshtha's even more of that, I would even say, Indra. Varuna, his story is very different. I think our fellow colleague, Vic Dakara in Sedona one year when we were all there, he actually did a really good presentation on Varuna. Do you guys remember? And so Varuna was actually the humble one. And he retreated naturally when all the devas, or you could say the Soras, wanted to choose Indra as their king. Varuna actually just observed the whole thing. There was no, it was like he saw what they wished and he goes into hiding. And I'm going to use some examples of how that plays out, and even in prediction. It's very interesting with Varuna. So anyways, guys, I'm only taking this time because when we get into words like laws and rules and all these things, let's also illumine a little bit of how many different forms of law there are, and the big difference between the human's idea of what should be right, and especially in a very, I would say, mentally ill society. Forgive me, but we have this society that, if you notice, half of the time we're justifying killing other people, taking their things. We are just, we take political sides. We're justifying, our morals are very odd. I have to call into question every single one of us if you really want to examine this. So there's human law, and then there's there's kind of this all-pervading silent consciousness, you could say. It's very aware. It's very aware of us. When we cross a limit, it responds. What do you think, calls the floods? Speaking of Varuna, every single civilization has been destroyed by some kind of flood and has record of it. And then the Manus, they're all in every story. Every country around the world has some stories. So every religion has some story of some flood that just wipes out the excess population of the humans, typically. And this is that very massive force, intelligence, that is behind the scenes in darkness to us, is very veiled from us. And we are interacting with it. And in our hubris, perhaps, in our arrogance is the number one enemy of a human being. And it's the number one enemy of nature. And if you notice all of what Dr. Paiji was describing with Shani, and with the connection between Shani, Yama, and Varuna, those guys are all very friendly to humility, to staying within your limits, to knowing your limit, to admitting you're wrong. If you look at Shani's names, they all have to do with that forgiveness and the friendliness to someone who's devoted. He's friendly to old age as well, as when we start becoming humbled, because we start realizing this body is not immortal. So Varuna is one of those characters. And so when we're describing the laws here and all of that, I'd love to just keep in mind that to call forth the awareness of the world around us that maybe doesn't have a human language and can't speak to us through our, once again, man-made language, but that is speaking to us all the time in a different way, and that we continuously cross the circle or continuously cross the boundary and feel that it's ours to utilize and control. And so, like the waters of the earth, we have now contaminated many of the waters of the earth. So Adityaji, your question, one of these rules, water is life.
Mm-hmm.
Air is life.
Yep.
Okay, so when we start crossing that, the human body is not going to sustain without these basic things. And not only that, it starts getting more sick, mentally ill, all the cities we build, all of the ways that we're damaging our nervous system. We can explain it away as many ways as we want to. We can try to justify, and I love it because we do, especially in the whole realm of spiritual communities, so to speak. We love to say, oh, well, technology has this good feature. Look, we're all connected, and all of this. But then you have to think about it from the broader angle. It's going to prove to us if it is truly, really good. And it's going to wait that law, whatever that hidden thing, will wait. It will wait until we cross limits that it can no longer bear, and then it responds. It's forbearing. It's very patient in some way, much more patient than us because our lifespan is so short. So this thing has whatever I'm trying to describe that has no real name besides names we try to give it. It waits. It's an intelligence that waits. And so the only way is kind of, once again, hubris to even say technology is good for us because we don't know yet. So all the things we've been doing in this civilization, we don't know yet. That law will show itself. That's the only way it has to speak to us. Oh my God, I'm in the dark and then we keep losing one of us, the invisible element.
Varuna's influence on us.
Yes.
You know,
So sorry, guys, you can literally cut some of this, Sandeep Ji, if you want to not leave me talking so much.
we should not cut anything. I think this is all very much needed, EFG, what you have been saying. And, this is very, very, very essential that everybody gets to know on this side. Because I think there has been a lot of vilification that happens because of how in translation from the Vedas and what information needs to be culled out from the Vedas, I think there can be misrepresentation. I'm not saying misinformation, it's just that how you interpret it could be different. And I think it's very essential you bring that out.
Thank you, Dr.
I think one thing I want to add, just in terms of what Evji mentioned, in terms of how civilizations do die out in time. Especially this idea, even if you compress that to just a family level, how you can see some karma that is being passed on through generations actually. So like certain generations of family, you see. So for instance, someone who does a spiritual practice, the subsequent generation might get the blessing of it. Whereas at the same time, you do the spiritual practice, you get blessings, you increase your wealth, land, and all that. Great, but then you become arrogant, which is what EG mentioned about, and then you see the subsequent generation experiencing the problems around it. So usually what happens, you worship a goddess or you worship a devata or something like that, and then you take care of the temple. The generation that took care of the temple ensures that the next generation is getting a blessing. But then usually when you miss out on that, and then, the next generation do not understand the pain and struggle that was required to maintain the original thing. So it's like the subsequent generation, the generation of the children who are enjoying the blessings of their parents' hard work. They don't do the hard work because they grew up around riches and all that, and because of which now you see the next generation, they just live their life enjoying. They just live their life that is enjoying. They just enjoy their life, materialistic life and all that. And then the generation after that, their children will have a problem. So there's a 100-year problem actually. That's one thing with excellent point to add with Satabhiasha actually. So like the first generation, a problem that is evident in 100 years actually. How do you see if a country is going to last long? For instance, USSR didn't last long. 1920 it was formed. 1990 it was gone. It didn't take more than even last 100 years actually. So many times the things that we take for granted, like countries, nations, and all that, the power of those, that's the power of the cosmic law more than the man-made laws. That's the thing. So like if you are in harmony with nature, more likely you will last for 100 years or more. If you're not in harmony with nature, you're going to last less than 100 years guaranteed.
That's exactly it, Sandeep Ji. That's what I was contemplating as Dr. Paiji was talking. I felt your talk was so beautiful, Dr. Paiji. And I was thinking, yeah, it's important here because of the law issue here, because we've got, for students also, I'm sorry, I apologize for taking you guys on that tangent. I'm clearly passionate about nature. But as someone who is, suffered very odd, what Sandeep ji was saying, some very mysterious so-called illnesses, not even illnesses, but health issues where my clock is flipped and, or where I'm up in the night. And I mean, I don't ever say this stuff publicly, but it's made me get more in tune with a different flow. Like I almost have to sleep with my body upside down to get myself to sleep. So I've had to learn all these kind of strange things. And those of you who've had readings with me, I may wait on a better time for your reading. I know the professional world of the man-made clock is saying, oh, we have this scheduled. But, and you may see this with Satabhiasha individuals, by the way. There's quite a few very, prominent astrologers that will have this nakshatra, and they may reschedule or they may wait for a natural time, a flow of some sort to happen. And it is that law. It's the law. It's impossible to explain what that is. It's the right time. And you'll find that the muhurt and the nakshatra and all of that will align naturally. And, I have a few charts for us here tonight, actually, that I was going to discuss this time. I actually made a presentation for this just to show how even people who, like some saints, real saints, who usually they don't like Jyotish, by the way. I don't know how many of you read about, saints and real masters and real sadgurus and people like that. A lot of times they're not so crazy about Jyotish. And it's because of a few issues with Jyotishis. I don't think it's because of the Jyotish itself. I think it's truly because of us, various reasons. But even these saints who don't follow Jyotish, they're following something else. They're not looking at a clock. They're not, asking some astrologer what's the best time to do this. You'll see that when you see their Vimshotri and you use the nakshatra, you don't even need the rashis. We're overcompensating with the rashis, guys, because we don't know how to use the nakshatras. If you just use the nakshatra dasha and you look at most of these guys, when they do things, it's right in time. They didn't consult anyone. It was just, they woke up one day and they did something, and you look at the event and it was literally on time with that cosmic order. So Aditya ji, you just showed up right in time. I was just about to say that Jyotish is one of those cosmic laws. This very
great. I think we should get Aditya rolling. So before we lose him, and all that.
Yeah, my laptop is old. Now it is slowly giving up. 8 nakshatras, 9 nakshatras, 8-9 years now. It is slowly, it is dying. But I have attached to this laptop. It has served me for so many years.
So yeah, go ahead, Aditya. You can share your presentation actually.
Thank you, Evji, for that, and sorry for this disturbance. And thanks for that. It was a great discussion. Good. Thank you very much. Thanks, Dr. Pai. I don't know, Dr. Pai is now missing, but thank you for his
Varna is choosing as randomly, Dr. Pai, then you, and then yeah.
I think we are all spies, Satabhiasha night sky. So but so great day to start. It's a new year. Sun is entering the first point of sidereal Aries. So new year everywhere, because the cycle begins. New year in Kerala, new year in Tamil Nadu, in Assam, in Odisha, and in several other places. Ramzan is going on too. So yeah, holy month. We have in few days Easter coming up. So Palm Sundays and all. There is a church just next to me. They are making some dais there, platform, which is opposite of Satabhiasha. I think they are going to have some ceremony there in next few days. So holy month for everyone. And I think Jupiter changed the position, just entered Pisces today, I guess, just in few hours back. Rahu and Ketu has gone into Libra, what is that, Aries and Libra axis. So a lot of planetary changes, a lot of changes happening. And Saturn again will go to Aquarius, correct, in next few weeks, next few days, I guess. So interesting times. So I guess you can see my slide here. Am I right? From the
Yes, we can. Yeah, yeah, we can see it now. Yeah.
Great. Dr. Pai has given a little bit information about Satabhiasha and Varuna. My voice is clear?
Yes.
Yes, very clear. Very clear.
Because always people complain, our voice is not clear.
I think usually it's my voice they are complaining, but
People will
No, no,
always
no.
complain, Aditya ji. Go
No,
ahead.
but let me see. I will be talking clearly, slowly, because
yeah, all that is good. Yeah.
Is perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Satabhisha. So it's in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius occupies the 11th house in the natural Kalpurush. And what is 11th house? If I ask you, its benefits, its profits, its colleagues, its collaborators, large organization, all those themes will come to your mind. Satabhisha is the nakshatra out of all the three nakshatra, Dhanishta, Shatabhisha, and Purva Bhadrapada. It is a nakshatra which fits entirely into the Aquarius constellation. So you can understand a sense of what it is, benefits, profits, colleagues, collaboration, large organizations. These are all the themes that may be associated with Shatabhisha. And as Dr. Pai said, Shatabhisha literally means Shata plus Bhisha, or Bheshaj. Shata is 100 and Bheshaj is like medicine. Now there are different meanings of Bheshaj. It's medicine, it's remedy, some say drugs, some say healing magic. So something to do with 100 remedies, 100 drugs, 100 healing magic. Something concept of healing is coming into the picture. It is in the 11th house of Kalpurush. What is 11th house? If you say 12th from the 12th house, is also 11th house. What is 12th house? Hospitals. So if you take the, what is that? What is this called? 12th from the, I forget that name.
Bhavat Bhavam, yeah.
Bhavat Bhavam principle. Then something related to hospital comes in. But also remember, it is also 6th from the 6th house. What is 6th? Death, disease, court case, litigations, and all those. So again, disease is coming in the picture, hospital coming in the picture. Both are in hospitals and disease. So something again, healing, magic, and all those things are there in the picture. Now, as I said, I am an astronomer, so going back to the sky and see how the nakshatra, how the Aquarius looks like. Out of all the zodiac signs, it is Capricorn and Aquarius. It's the most faintest. Even being an astronomer for so many years, I have never seen Aquarius constellation as a whole. Because first of all, the stars are very dim. Aquarius and Capricorn are somewhere hidden still now. I've seen up till the Sagittarius, then Pisces onwards, it is good. Pisces to Sagittarius is good. Aquarius and Capricorn is some very faint stars. Very, very in a region of sky, they are very, very faint stars, not much bright stars there. And I guess very boring part to see. That's the sky with not with many stars. And you can see the element of that and how the constitution of that maybe Rashi is. Very calm and quiet, not much, what you say, gimmicks there. And you're a star which is associated to Shatabhisha that lies at Aquarius 18 degree. Okay, Aquarius 18 degree is the point where the Yogatara of Satabhisha lies. Now people may say that some says it is lambda equerry, some say it is gamma equerry. There is a controversy between that. But if you see the textbook of Surya Siddhanta, and I've gone through some old text 200 years old back, and I have the copies, there they have mentioned as lambda equerry is the Yogatara of Satabhisha. So we'll go with that. So if you take the lambda equerry, it is exactly at Aquarius 17 degree 44 minutes. About 18 degree Aquarius is the Yogatara of Satabhisha. Okay, let's move forward. And if you compare, as Dr. Pai also mentioned, that this is what the lambda equerry is. And what is Aquarius? A water barrel, correct? Pouring water. And lambda Aquarius is exactly on the water element. Like the flow of water is where that star lies. So water element becomes an important theme for this Satabhisha Nakshatra. So water is coming into the picture. So that's the one point. Water element and healing and care is the main one, some of the themes that I want you to remember. What is a deity? Varuna, we all know. Varuna is riding on some makara. I don't know. It doesn't look like a proper crocodile. I don't know what type of creature it is. It looks like a crocodile, but something very weird creature. Not exactly like a crocodile, but something similar to a crocodile. Maybe it's an alien creature. Who knows? Aliens can be possible. Its body is like totally different, something, but closely resembling to a crocodile, makara. So Varuna is a deity, and it's not only in India. There are several, even in Buddhist monastery, there's a god which is similar to Varuna. And I'm sure you may be knowing this one. Is a famous deity for Sindhis, Jhulelal, we say. It is said that Jhulelal is an incarnation of Varuna. We'll see the story what it is. Okay. So let's talk about Varuna. Varuna, as you said, god of ocean, cosmos. Now, this ocean is not like really an ocean of water. It's a cosmological ocean, as Dr. Pai was saying, Akash Ganga and the water flow, the cosmic water, the ocean. That's what. So maybe it is somewhere closely related to even your Purva Ashada. Purva Ashada is also Apas, somewhere relationship between that Purva Ashada and Varuna Satabhiasha should be there. Some connotation or something similarity should be there. Vehicle is Makara, looks like a crocodile, but not really like a crocodile, but something like a crocodile. Weapon, as doctor said, is Pasha. Pasha is used for controlling. So it's a noose, rope, or loop, control. Guardian deity of western direction, which Dr. Pa also mentioned. He's a Dikpala, he's a western direction. Father is Kashyap, mother is Aditi, and his son name is Vashishta. Vashishta is his son. Okay, now there is also two stories. Some says Vashishta is his son, some says Agastya is his son. So there are like two things, but most of the time I've seen Vashishta is often regarded as his son of Varuna. So this Japanese Buddhist myth also has got a deity named Suiten, which is Suiten, I don't know how you say it, but that is closely related to Varuna. He's mentioned in Rig Veda. Rig Veda is the oldest text. So in Rig Veda, there are lots of references to Varuna. So we could see his references in Rig Veda. Also in Tamil text called as Tolkapiyam, where he is called as Kadalan. Kadalan. Not Kadalan means love. Kadalan is basically is the god. And he is the guardian of moral law, punishes without remorse, and forgives who err with remorse. So again, as Evji was also mentioning, and Dr. Pai was also mentioning about, he's a guardian of moral laws. Now, what is moral laws and all? Evji gave a nice discussion about it just few minutes back. So these are the characteristics of our friend Varuna. Varuna is considered as twin devatas, as we have seen many twin devatas. He is the twin devatas Mitra, who is Anuradha's lord, and Varuna has got a close friendship. And there's a story, correct? There was this Apsara. What was that Apsara's name? That's a three. What is that?
It was Urvashi.
Urvashi? Is it Urvashi? Yeah, Urvashi. Love triangle.
Right.
So there's a love triangle theme between Mitra, Varuna, and Urvashi. So maybe such natives may have love triangle problems in their life. Can be possible. Where a friend is coming and having some issues with their girlfriends or something, having some great stories or some bitter stories may be possible with Mitra and Varuna. So one aspect can be possible with this Satabhiasha. It's not that fit for all, but may be possible. Now, interestingly, in Rig Veda, Mitra and Varuna are sometimes considered as Asuras, sometimes considered as Devas. Okay, it's both. Varuna was the king of Asuras, it seems, but he was made Deva because he was the one responsible for structuring the primordial cosmic laws and all. After Indra defeated Vrita. So Indra, after he defeated Vrita, he was structuring all the primordial cosmic laws, and then I guess he was made as Devas because he was the one who guardians all these laws and all. So that's why he's considered as Asura also, and he's considered as Devas also. In Yajurveda, if you go, he's a patron deity of physicians. So again, healing is coming into the picture. In Tamil, there are basically, they say there are 5 divisions of land. One is Kurinji, which is mountain, Mullai, which is forest, Palai, which is desert, Marudam is agricultural land, and there is another which is called as Natal, or I don't know how to say this, Natal or something, which is seashore. And each one is given a deity. Kurinji is given a deity, Some says that it is also Subramanyam is the deity of mountain. Similarly, Natal is given, the Varuna is given as the deity of, not, they don't call Varuna, they call as Kadalan, as we saw. He is the deity of seashore. Again, sea is coming into the picture, ocean is coming into the picture. Okay, Kurinji. And now it's an interesting story. We all know that Rama and Varuna, it's not Varuna, but in Rama it is mentioned as ocean god, they call. Now, some people say ocean god is different from Varuna, and some says that it was Varuna. You know, when Rama wanted to cross Lanka, and he was praying for the ocean god to come and give up way, but the ocean god was not hearing. So he finally has to raise his, he said that even ocean gods doesn't listen to the prayers and heeds of the common man. So he was angry and he was furious and he was going to destroy. And by the time ocean god comes up and says, no, 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 please forgive me. I was just thinking that how can, like he just explained his problem, that how can I can give you the way, because my nature is, I cannot give away. I'm water. I cannot give away. So how can I, who is responsible for the maintaining the cosmic laws, how I can break my own laws? So I was in a confused whether to help you or not. That's why it took such a long time. It's not my problem, and all those. And then he says, okay, you can build a road. But see, the whole story is, it's a very interesting thing. Varuna, when you put Cancer, because we know Ram was born in which nakshatra? Punarvasu. Punarvasu nakshatra, last pada, so it has gone in the Cancer. So if you put Cancer in the first house, where does Satabhiasha falls?
8th house, right? Yeah.
8th house. So you see, Rama and Varuna are like 1 and 8 relationship. Okay, so they are like, you know, having some issues there. So you can figure that out. Even Parshurama and Varuna, even Parshurama, when he was retiring from his the land, he goes and he says he wants a land, and I think that's where the Malabar coast came from, the sea, and that was the land of
Entire Kerala, man. Entire Kerala came from
Malabar. Exactly. So Kerala, you should be very thankful to Varuna. Varuna is your great father. Okay. So because that's what the sea is. So again, the connection with sea is there. So again, Parshuram's connection with Varuna. Parshuram is helping, Varuna is helping Parshuram, giving a land basically. So again, giving a land, what does that mean? If you put Parshuram as Kritika, Parshuram, actually when you see the Parshuram Jayanti is celebrated when moon is in Kritika Nakshatra. I think now it will come, we'll celebrate Parshuram Jayanti soon. I don't know if we are celebrated. Somewhere it comes in this April. So Parshuram is, when the moon is in Kritika, it is Parshuram Jayanti. So if you put Kritika in the first house, where does Satabhiasha falls? If you say Aries.
Yeah,
10th house or 11th house?
Yeah, that's right.
So 11th house is what? Gifts, it's profits, it's benefits. That's what it is. And just relating, you know, how this story is. Does that make sense, everyone? Am I going
yeah, perfectly makes sense. Yeah, very interesting for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. EG and Dr. Pai, am I making?
Yes, Togiji, it's very interesting about Parsuram. Again, just a link there with the Rigu and Shuktasi avatar linked with Shukra.
Avatar, yes.
People don't know.
Good point.
Yeah, it tends to be a continuous link thread there.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah, Brigu.
Even the Asuras, you know, because Shukracharya becomes Guru. This whole thing with the Varuna being an Asura, anyone who's really studied that history of Devas and Rakshasas and all of that, a little bit mystery. A little bit of a mystery there. I'm not so sure that someone didn't come around and vilify this certain group of people. That for political reasons, or so, it almost, some of it reads very strangely. So we need to keep a very open heart, very open mind when learning. Yeah.
Just to add, Aditya, I think it's a very interesting observation that you are also making. And Varuna, as per many scholars, he is also pre-Rigvedic deity as well. So he's been is a deity. And if you see, many civilizations have taken Varuna as their deity. Like, for example, in Slavic mythology, they call the god of thunder, sky, and oceans as Peruvan. Okay. like Varunan or Peruan. Okay.
Correct.
And he's also called in Turkish mythology.
Yes.
God of sky is called as Urvana.
Yeah, in many mythologies it have got different names. I just did not focus that much here, but yeah, you're right.
Urvana.
Thank you for pointing that. Yeah.
And in Greek, it's called as Uranus.
Poseidon.
Oh yeah.
Poseidon, yeah. Poseidon, actually.
Yeah.
God of Oceans is Poseidon. Uranus is someone else, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Uranus is someone else. Yeah, Poseidon.
Poseidon. And then I feel he's also probably got, because he's also called as Asura Mahat. Asura
Mahat, yeah.
Mahat means big, is a great Asura. And if you see, even in the Zodiac, they call it Ahura Mazda, isn't it?
Ahura,
the supreme one.
Mhm.
Ahura Mazda is also the supreme one. So that is what it means. I think maybe the reference to Varuna might have been there because although you see Zoroastrians are mostly worshippers of Agni, which is the fire deity.
Right.
Right?
That's a good point, Dr. Paiji, though. If you read the Avashta, like if you read the, I'm saying it wrong, with the Parsi, the Zoroastrian scriptures. Yes, yeah. So they have Mitra, they have many of the Mitras, you know, like there's a lot of, at one time we were all Sanskrit's mother tongue, living proof that one time we were all one. Yeah.
That's true.
So there are a lot of, sorry, Dr. Pai, go ahead.
No, I think that's what I wanted to mention. And there is, if you see, both of them are Vishnu avatars, Ram and Parashuram. Even if you know Krishna, I think they have a connection with the Varuna anyway, because when Krishna was born, when he had to cross the Yamuna river, Yamuna had to part way, and Yamuna was in floods, and Yamuna would not way until prophecy came and said, let Krishna's baby feet or the just born baby touch the waters, only then the waters will part ways. So the same thing with Lord Sri Ram getting very, he's usually said to not get angry, but they waited for the sea to subside.
4 days he prayed, it seems.
Yeah. And then he threatened him with his, bow and arrow. Also, the story you have to know that
Varuna got Dr. Pai. Yeah.
No, but it's interesting. Like Varuna, when he comes to Lord Ram, he says, "Oh, why are you getting angry? This is not your nature to get angry." Like he was telling about his own moral laws to him. It's not the nature to get angry. Why are you getting angry? So he's reminding.
See, that's interesting the way you said that too. This is what I'm trying to explain here with the kind of law, according to Ram's nature.
Correct. Yes.
Not something anyone told him to do or gave him the order to do, his intrinsic nature.
Nature. Yeah.
The law of nature, the cosmic law. And Ram's patient, right? He was that cool Ramachandra, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So according to his nature, so what is this? It's not in the law of your nature.
Correct.
Yeah.
He says to Ram.
Moon on the Lagna. Cool,
Cool. Yeah. Yes. So that's what he reminds him. Your nature is not to get angry.
Very interesting.
And Dr. Pai also mentioned something about Varuna. See, when if you see in Mahabharata, in Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna says? He's the Vishnu among all Adityas, and Varuna is one of the Aditya. And he says he's Vishnu among all the Adityas. Among all the Aditya, he is the Vishnu. In that chapter where he shows Vishwarupa, correct? In that chapter, if you see, he says that I am Adityas with the Vishnu. Among Adityas, he is the Vishnu.
Right. Yeah, Dr. Pai, we lost you at you said a story and we lost you. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. I think I also, because my internet is very, very bad here, so I keep dropping. Yeah, but another important thing that you can also see with the Adityas, because he's mentioning Adityas, mentioning about Adityas.
Yeah.
Aditya is associated with Cancer, which is a water sign, and Vishnu Aditya is associated with Pisces.
Hmm.
So both of them have a common theme: is Vishnu means all-pervading divinity. Varuna also means all enveloping or all binding or all covering. So both of them have kind of a similar sort of a role. If you see from the names, Vishnu means all pervading divinity, and Varuna also means all enveloping, like the sky or the ocean or the the ether.
Exactly. Anyway, let's move forward now. But this Jhulelal, now I was like, why? I was surprised to see this Sindhi god Jhulelal. Why it has got something to do with Vishnu? And if you see here, I have a see, first of all, let's understand what is Sindh. Sindh region is that area of Pakistan. Now, after division, it has gone into Pakistan. The northern part of Gujarat, especially cities like Karachi and Hyderabad, not Hyderabad of India, but Hyderabad of Pakistan. Those are the cities that comes into the Sindh region. After division, it did go into Pakistan, but that's where the Sindh region is, and people from that region is called Sindhis. So there was this Muslim ruler, Mirk Shah, or Mirk Shah, and he was like giving lot of problems to people of those regions. So the Sindhis, what they did was they prayed to of course that's where the region where the Indus River flows. So on the banks of the river, they did go and they did pray to their deity who was Varuna for them. Now, and then it says that Varuna came as a person reincarnated, and they was born to some, I think, parents and mother's name, I don't know, but he was given the name Uderolal. He was born around 1,000 years back, and then he was the one who was showing all miraculous acts, and then Mirksha was literally got influenced with this, and with his knowledge of even Muslim, like Islamic knowledge of this young boy. And he was at the same time, he was showing different forms at the same time, like he was having the ability to go into an old man, into a young boy, and all those. So Miksha was like, okay, fine. He started following him, and then he was the one who told that no, you should not trouble people and all those things. And then and people were happy after Miksha was like, he became a good person after that. So I was thinking, why the Sindhis has to do with something with Varuna? The Sindhis are all traders. They use sea trade. So that means they used to pray for Varuna, because for their safety and for whenever they used to go for some business for far off lands, they used to pray sea god for their safety and all. So naturally, Varuna became their Ishta Devata, because that's the one who they pray for. So in any case of any problems, they used to pray for Varuna. And it's said that Varuna reincarnated as this guy, who is Jhulelal. We call Jhulelal, correct? So that's a very strange, see how Sindhis are associated with.
One more thing I want to add, Aditya. It's an excellent point you mentioned about traders and Sindhi. I mean, of course, if you know a Sindhi, you know they are hardcore bargainers.
Hardcore bargainers.
You can't bargain. You can't bargain with a Sindhi. That's how it is. But then, what is interesting further is that the sound of Satabhiasha Nakshatra is Go, Sa, Si, and Su. So C sound is actually falling in Satabhiasha Nakshatra. So that's very direct. You can see why Sindhis would naturally evolve towards the Varna. They are Varnas almost, in this day and age. You can see that easily.
Absolutely, yeah. We have Sindhi society in Bombay. I like their gulab jamuns, the great gulab jamuns they used to make. Sindhis are the sweets and all, especially the sweets are really awesome. Somehow, anyway, food, I'm always interested in food. Anyway. Okay, coming to the tree. You reminded about food now. Going to tree, it's the Kadamba tree actually. Kadamba tree is the tree for Satabhiasha. These are the Kadamba flowers and Kadamba tree, long tree. And if you see about the importance of Kadamba tree, lot of medical benefits of Kadamba tree. I have listed here some. Reduce blood sugar, it heal wounds, reduce pain, inflammation, antibacterial, antifungal, prevent constipation, anti-epileptic, anthelmintic, destroy parasitic worms, anti-tumor, antioxidant, protects liver, like bunch of medical benefits, healing power. So that's one thing again we see here. And it's good for timber and paper, they say. Now, timber and paper, what does that mean? Paper, timber, you can make business out of that. Timber is a big industry, lumber industry, and all those things. So again, 11th house gets activated. Business, profits, all those things. And they say that this tree leaves, when the leaves decompose, because this tree is huge, and when the leaves fall down and decompose, they increase the carbon soil content. So it's a very good for fertilizing the earth, basically replenishing the earth. And the attar of that, the root bark is used to make attar, the perfume, which people, so again, which is again has got a lot of financial constraints, you can see, which is again 11th house connection,
Well, it has a very intoxicating scent.
Yeah.
It's very strong scent. Yeah.
Yeah, like sandalwood. They say very close to sandalwood, next to sandalwood. If you see planetary rulers, of course, there are 4 padas in each nakshatra. This entire Rashi comes into Capricorn. Ruler is Saturn. So the Rashi Lord is Saturn. Nakshatra Lord, we know Satabhiasha is for Rahu. And Navamsha Lord, what are the Navamshas that goes into this? Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. The first pada of Satabhiasha is Sagittarius. Second pada of Satabhiasha lies in Capricorn Navamsha. Third pada, Aquarius. Fourth pada, Pisces. If you see their lords, it's Jupiter and Saturn. So basically, what are the planets you see in this nakshatra? Saturn, Rahu, Jupiter. What is Saturn and Rahu? Rahu and Saturn, when it comes, of course, scientific, technology, healing. Saturn is healing, masses and all those. Deep thinking and all those things can be, of course, deep thinking. And Jupiter gives additional emphasis to religion, philosophy, spirituality, and all those. So, and again, where Saturn is masses, what is the opposite sign of from Shatabhisha? Aquarius. Shatabhisha falls in Aquarius.
Leo, right? Yeah.
Leo. Leo is what? Maga. Maga is what?
Yeah.
King. So opposite is king. Opposite to it is Shatabhisha, which is masses. Aquarius. King and masses. You can see the connection there. Okay. So Saturn, Rahu, Jupiter is what the planetary connection. So you can understand some of the key qualities of this nakshatra. Foundation above, pervasion overall, again pervasive. Foundation below is support of all. Desire to be firm and steady. Shakti, or the nakshatra power of this nakshatra is it's called Beshaja Shakti, which is to heal and support. Result of Shakti, basis and desire, world free of calamity. That's what Satabhisha is looking for, world free of calamity. Circle, empty circle is a symbol. Now, where all circles you can see in world? One is healing mandalas. You see all this yantras and a lot of circular things you will have. Okay, for all those healing, Dr. Young said, I sketch every morning in a notebook a small circular drawing which seem to correspond to my inner situation at a time. So again, these mandalas, healing mandalas and all are strongly connected to healing, again, concept of healing. And we know that if you see here, few years back, we did go to Sedona. We saw this healing, Buddhist healing circles. I think many of us may have also visited here. Again, it's a Buddhist healing circle. So we know that it was something which they used for healing. Again, circular. Again, the shape. It's not triangular. It's not square. It's not rectangular. It's not some other shape. But again, circular healing structures. So again, some circle is connected with healing, which I don't know much about it. Why they have those, I have no idea. I'm very ignorant about it. But something they have in Buddhist circular type of structures for healing and all.
Yeah, actually, in Zen tradition, there is a circle drawing tradition in Zen. So
Okay.
you call it Enzo actually. So you actually draw a circle. It's a meditation thing. You draw a circle in a meditative way, and the whole thing is like you just draw a circle for half an hour. And that's a meditation. Yeah, it's called an Enzo. So yeah, Buddhists have their own circle thing. Yes, yeah. It's in Zen tradition especially.
So that means again related to healing then.
Yeah, definitely.
Satabhisha means Purushartha is Dharma, Gana is Rakshas, Trimurti is Shiva, animal is female horse. The male horse comes for Ashwini, female horse comes for Satabhisha, and the bird is Heron. But let me little bit emphasize on female horse. Now, female horse, we know it has got incredible healing power. Sometimes these horses are engaged now in hospitals and all to treat some patients. And that is called as some new therapy, equine therapy, they say, where emotional support and all is used to treat patients. which I was like, okay. And they use horse face basically. Again, horse connected with Satabhisha, Satabhisha connected with healing. And the other thing is, we know that for the snake venom, I think they use horse antibodies. So if the blood of the horse is very useful to treat snake venom. What they do is put the snake venom in the horse. They say that their blood or their body of a horse is adapted in such a way that they create antibodies for the snake venom. And then you can take that blood of the horse and inject into snake bitten victim. That's what they used to do initial days. And that guy was Albert Calmet, that's how he started with us. He was the first one to use this anti-venom, snake anti-venom. And now we are not using all those, but this is like age-old technique. We have improved our medical advancement has gone a lot compared to those years, but this is how it started. So horse blood is used for snake venom. Now I was thinking, why? So again, first of all, let's see about this guy, Albert Calmet. Albert Calmet chart is, I put up, I don't know his time, I just put up some random time. He was born on 12 July 1863. And probably you see, not major planets in Satabhisha, but this guy definitely has some major themes with snakes. He has got moon in Rohini, animal is of Rohini is snake. Ketu in Rohini, again, animal of Rohini, again snake. Mrigashira, he has got Uranus again, but it's animal of Mrigashira is also snake. But anyway, it's the outer planet. And again, he has got Mars in Ashlesha. Ashlesha is Nagas again. This fellow is having Bhrigu Bindu in Satabhisha. Of course, we can't say about the house because we don't know his timing, but at least Bhrigu Bindu is in Satabhisha. If we consider the moon position is little bit, weird, but Venus also aspects Satabhisha. He has definitely got something with respect to snakes. And he was the one who was.
So Venus is 12 degrees exactly aspecting Satabhisha Nakshatra. That is one point.
Exactly.
Other thing, if you carefully look at the Nakshatra Lord of Satabhisha, which is Rahu, it's in Anuradha Nakshatra, which is conveyed Mitra. So, Mitra, Varna Mitra kind of thing is playing out here. So Rahu in Anuradha Nakshatra, Satabhisha theme is the result. That is also one more thing. And I think one thing also here, if you assume this birth is not correct, say moon is less than 20 degrees, exactly 10,000 cuspal point from the moon degree would be falling in Satabhisha. Say moon was 17 degrees of Taurus, 10,000 of that is 17 degrees of Aquarius, which is also Satabhisha Nakshatra. That is interesting. So of course, Venus exact aspect is falling on Satabhisha Nakshatra also.
But the point is, why Satabhisha and snakes? Satabhisha and snakes there is some relation.
Actually, Varuna, if anyone who knows, Varuna was considered a Naga Raja. He was considered a Raj of the Nagas.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is actually something none of us have mentioned so far, but he's a Naga Raja. He is he's very much associated with the Nagas. And all the Nagas, right? Like in the stories in the Mahabharata where Bhim falls into the river and he sinks down, and who gets him? The Nagas, his relatives. They're under.
Now you have, go ahead with that. You have. I will show you something. I will show you a picture.
Okay.
Go ahead with the discussion. I want to show you something.
What is the story, Yuji, of Bhima?
It's a very simple story. Many of you probably know it. I believe it's when he gets poisoned with the porridge. He's just eating, and Duryodhan and a few of them come up with the idea to put the poison in the, and he passes out and he rolls into the river, or they push him into the river, depending on what you read. Yes. Oh, Varuna. Oh my God.
Varuna, and he's catching what?
He's got the Naga.
Yeah.
So definitely he is one of, I consider Satabhisha one of the Naga Nakshatras. I have a group of them, and it's not based on whether or not the Yoni in the Kuta is, a Naga. It's because those are earthly serpents. Okay, there's a very big difference between the snakes of the earth. They could be relatives, but then there's the actual Nagas. And so Varuna also, so you'll read that if you read any of the, any classics, you'll see references to that. Yeah.
But you see, again, if you put Ashlesha in the Lagna, Satabhisha falls in the 8th house.
Well, also it
So
falls in the sixth from, if you think of,
sixth from the sixth
moon
from the
rules sixth house from from Kumbha, and that's why Kumbha deals with mysterious. Whatever house the moon rules from a lagna is very significant to that lagna. So from Kumbha, you have the moon ruling sixth house.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And actually in
So
Rashi aspect, they aspect each other 100%, right? So Cancer and Kumbha, they are giving full Rashi Drishti. Yeah.
True. So you can see that Satabhiasha is 8th from Ashlesha and Ashlesha is 6th from Satabhiasha. So it's 8-6 relationship. What is 6th house? Enemy. So 8th house is death of Ashlesha. Death of snake poison is Satabhiasha.
Doctor. Sixth house. Doctor.
6th house again, treatment of, yeah. So that's how
longevity, you could, 8th house, yeah.
Exactly. So maybe that's why snake these horses produce maybe snake antibodies for the snake venom.
Yeah,
I thought that was
great. I wanted to add one more thing here in our tradition here in the south. The priest call two nakshatras as parihara nakshatras, where you can do a lot of your healing activities. I'm not talking healing means only physical healing. It's also karmic healing that you have to do. And they are both connected to horses, which is one is Ashwini Nakshatra, they say, because it's the male horse, and the female horse is Satabhiasha. So Satabhiasha and Ashwini are called as Parihara Nakshatras. And they say some great healing activities, not only at the physical roga level, which is diseases, ailments, mental health, whatever. They also say you have to do, because horses are animals of the sun. So, we have 7 horses for the sun. So horse is an animal of the sun, and sun is very essential for doing all-round healing as a doctor. So worship, especially if you do some abhishekam, rudhrabhishekam on these specific 2 nakshatras when moon is transiting, they say it helps you to wipe out a lot of your karmic sins, and that helps you to get better with health, financial health, emotional health, mental health, physical health, all kinds of health. And especially what they use here for health and emotional status, they use durva. Durva grass is used in the Havan, Homa, and sesame seeds. So if you see, Rahu is the Dhruva grass and sesame seeds is Saturn. So if you combine Saturn and Rahu, you talked about Satabhiasha being. So sesame and Dhruva grass is offered as a way for physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being, all kinds of things into the Havan, which means Homa Kunda. So I think that is trying to bring the energies of the 100 healers. And remember,
Ashwini is the place where sun exiles too.
Exactly, that's true. So that's why these 2 nakshatras are said very important for the South Indian astrologers here. And offering of Durva grass and sesame seeds is customary in the Havan for better. And also doing Abhishekam, because specifically Mrityunjaya Shiva. And they also call it, because Shiva is also called as what is
Vaidyanathan, correct?
Vaidyanathan, exactly. He's Vaidyanathan because he's the Vaidya, he's the doctor, he's the ultimate doctor. So because he's Vaidyanathan, that's also we worship Vaidyanath, which is Leo. Opposite is Leo, right? Leo Jyotirlingam is Vaidyanath.
And both are, when you say Ashwini, the Ashwini Kumaras are also physicians.
Exactly. They are the celestial physicians. More of the spiritual healing masters who come here. They can come, as I said, Ayurvedic doctors, scientists, philosophers, and spiritual, any kind of sadgurus, as we say. They come here as masters to heal us.
I will be adding some slides on that.
Yeah, one thing I want to add on horses quickly is that they say, some shamans say that if you want to know your future, ask a horse to show it to you. Like horses can actually show your future, apparently. Talk with telepathically, it will show you, apparently, if you actually talk to a horse show that Rahu kind of element and all this blood and all that. That makes perfect sense now. Yeah, that's interesting actually.
Ashwa. Ashwa is the name of horses, and also we call it Ashwata because the horses, when they were tired after running and traveling, they were yoked under the Ashwa tree, Ashwata tree, which is people tree. So because it gives you oxygen 24/7. So they used to get energized very quickly. That's why they were called as Ashwata, the tree, people tree, because the horses, Ashwas, were yoked there. The same thing, Arvasthan. Arabia was called as Arvasthan in Sanskrit. Arva means Ashwa, Arva. Arabia is because the horses of stallions and horses, the Arabian horses are one of the most fastest.
Interesting.
They win most of the derbies. If you see most of the European and other derbies, the sheiks own their horses and they train their horses and they always want to win these derbies. And these stallions are actually picked up from the Arabian pedigree. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going not about much about stars. Let's skip this. So let's see some personalities of Satabhiasha. So one is Dr. Edward Bach, which he gave Bach flower remedies, which Dr. Pa, you suggested, flower remedies and all. British doctor, bacteriologist, he was homeopath, and also he was a spiritual writer. So let's see the chart of our friend Dr. Edward Bach. Of course, Rodent rating C, so we don't know about his exact time, but the dates will be fine. And if you see, of course, a lot of planets in Virgo, so definitely some type of healing and all. And what you can see is, of course, we don't know the ascendant, as I said, so let's not worry. But Ketu is in Satabhiasha for this guy, Rahu Ketu axis. So you can see that how Satabhiasha, again, Ketu in Satabhiasha is making him about understanding of using Satabhiasha themes. And who knows, pretty much it will be his Lagna. That's what they say, 1712. But of course, Rodent rating C, so we can't believe. Of course, the other guy, Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Now, I have seen his birth date. Some say 17 February 1836. Some say 18 February 1836. But 17th, 18th, around that. Spiritual leader. We all know about Ramakrishna Paramahansa. He was the one great spiritual leader. Removal of ignorance. He was teacher of Swami Vivekananda. Completely different guy. Always gave the world about spiritual knowledge and all those. Always used to be in spiritual ecstasy. His love for Kali, Saturn and Rahu, again, Kali element is coming into the picture. He says that Kali used to come, goddess Kali used to come, talk to him and all those. Let's see his chart.
Dakshineshwar, right? Dakshineshwar Kali temple and all that.
Dakshineshwar Kali, exactly. Sun in Satabhiasha for this guy, Mercury in Satabhiasha for this guy. So, of course, Mars in Shravana, ascendant we can't say, but all those Shravana is to hear, maybe cosmic hearing, he may have some great sense of hearing. Again, Rodent rating B, so we don't know. Time is very odd, but at least Sun would be still in Satabhiasha and Mercury will be still in Satabhiasha. At least we can believe that. So major planets in Satabhiasha for him too. Next comes, I was looking. So after that I said, okay, Satabhiasha is all about healers and all. So let me take something randomly in Google. Who is the best healer in the world or something? And I also know about Satabhiasha, which is water. So I purposely put in Google. In fact, this is how I use this. A person who used water as healing, something. The great person who used water. And this name came up, Arnold Rickley, which I never knew about this guy name. I don't know who was this guy. So he was the one, 1823 born, much before, almost 200 years back. But he used water element as healing. Not only water, he used to use sun, air, and steam bath. All natural elements he used to use for healing. Then I said, this guy who uses water as healing should have something with Satabhiasha. That was my thinking. Never heard this guy's name before. So I just saw birth date I got. Let's see, I thought, let me put his birth date and try to see what he has got. You see all these planets. Naturally, that makes sense. Time is unknown, so don't worry about that Lagna. But at least Venus, Mercury, Mars, forget about Brigu Bindu too. If time is not that, because Rahu position won't change much. Moon may change here and there. But again, you can see heavy planets in Satabhiasha for this. So it's natural for him to use water as an element for healing. So it was a random search, but it worked well. Then I said, okay, a lot of healings are done. Let's see about some spy, Mata Hari. Somehow when I was looking Mata Hari, I don't know. Have you heard about this woman, Mata Hari?
I have her chart for us tonight. I have
Okay.
her chart, and you're probably not going to cover what I'm going to cover, so don't worry at all. Like, I
Okay.
doubt seriously you're going to cover the part I'm going to cover, but this is an interesting lady. It's a-
Very interesting lady. Very
like, I'm
interesting.
not
So
going
she
to
was
cover, I'm not going to cover the spy part, so please, I'm going to cover a
Okay.
different part. Yeah.
Okay, so she was a Dutch exotic dancer and courtesan, and she was claimed as like as a German spy during World War One. Okay, so spy, because I was thinking Satabhiasha is also Varuna. They are good for spies and all those because all that night